Um, Today, our audience, today I have a guest, a special guest. Her name is Beth, and she's the deputy human rights and equality committee from St. Paul. Beth is welcome.
Hi, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you so
hi,
much
how
for
are you?
having me today. I'm
Yeah,
great. How are you?
yeah, good. Yeah.
Good.
How are you? How is your day?
It was really nice.
Yeah.
I was out in the garden doing some work and I got something in my eye. So I'm rubbing my eye for
Yeah,
our
okay.
viewers.
Okay,
We all know why.
yeah. All right. Thank you so much. Here is our studio. This is AI and Simbirtuu Media. We broadcast from here every Sunday. It is like community service.
Yeah.
And today we invited you to talk about human rights
Yeah.
and how to know your rights. And you are saying, I told them you are the deputy chair of the Equal Economic Opportunity. And let's begin. What is know your right?
hmm Yeah, I can even just back up a step before that and let everybody know that locally in St. Paul and in Minneapolis, we have some local laws that offer some of the same, similar, or in some cases, even bigger protections than the federal level. So when we're hearing about, conversations at the federal level that they're not doing this work or that work, right? It does matter. It's important, but we have local protections. We have local laws that protect people. So when we talk about know your rights, that's what I want people to know. Know what we have locally that protects you, whether it's around discrimination or it's around wage theft, or we always hope that nobody has a bad, or that somebody doesn't have a bad interaction with a police officer. But if you do in St. Paul, you can file a complaint. Similar in Minneapolis. Yeah, so kind of know your rights. Know what rights you have that your city gives you.
Oh, all right. Okay, we're going to begin with. Let me start with wastage. And what does that mean? If somebody thinks that he was abused or maybe he's not well paid, what they should do.
Yeah.
To begin with, what is it and what is the minimum wage and
Yeah.
where again, pay system.
Yeah, definitely. And I can give you all the exact numbers. So there is kind of a difference between somebody feeling like they're not well paid and then somebody not being paid what they're legally promised or committed to, right? So I would tell you, I bet we would all tell you that we're all underpaid, right? We would be much more value for us. But we do have a local law in St. Paul, and Minneapolis has one too. My colleague in Minneapolis was going to come and join us today. So I just want folks to know things are a little different in Minneapolis, but similar, right? So wage theft, if you are an employee and you are not paid for either the hours you work, I can give you some examples. Let's say you work 40 hours last week, but you were only paid for 30. That could be wage theft. Let's say your boss tells you you have to be in at 8:30 a.m. ready to go, but you cannot clock in until 9 o'clock. So they require you to be there a half hour before your shift even starts. That's wage theft. If you're not paid for training, time that you do training, let's say you have 2 weeks where you're training and you're learning how to do all the things in the studio, right? I know it's different because it's a community radio station, but employers have to pay employees for training. So when that employer doesn't do it, right, then that would be looked at as we would investigate to see if wage theft happened. Yeah. So stealing wages, it can look like so many different things.
It's like, for example, the minimum every week, somebody probably do 40 hours. But sometimes they work 42 or 48 or 50, but they are not paid.
It depends. So I'm a salaried employee, and sometimes I might work a little more and I don't get paid. But if you're an hourly employee, your boss has to pay you for the time that you work. Exactly.
You are there. Whether you are temporary or maybe full-time or part-time.
Exactly. So wage theft applies to every kind of employee. We also have earned sick and safe time.
What is that?
So earned sick and safe time is every employee, whether you're temporary, seasonal, maybe you just do lawn care for the summer, right? Or you're part-time or full-time. Every employee earns 1 hour of paid sick time for every 30 hours they work. Every 30 hours.
I hope many people do not know this.
We the top industries where we have where we open investigations are tipped industries. So not to say that if you're a server at a restaurant, your employer is not giving you sick and safe time or is committing wage theft, but these are the areas where we see more cases. Tipped industries and home care, when people are home health aides or PCAs, things like that, or in the construction field. Those are the main areas where we have investigations about not getting paid earned sick and safe time. Exactly. And sometimes people, they earn it, but they're not allowed to use it. Right. And we look at that as a problem too, right? If you can earn the time, but you can't ever use it, what good is it, right? And then you also asked about minimum wage. St. Paul and Minneapolis, we have a higher minimum wage than the rest of the state. Minneapolis has just a couple different levels. Again, I don't work there, I don't know. But in St. Paul, we have 4 different levels, and the highest level is $15.97 an hour, right? Almost 16. And that increases every July 1st. So we're coming up on another increase. And we sometimes,
This coming July?
this coming July, So in St. Paul, we break it down by business size. And the top 2 business sizes, so anything from 101 employees on up, they have to pay a minimum of $15.97 an hour.
That means companies like Walmart, Target, and maybe Amazon and different companies. These are big corporate, and so they have to pay something like 16.
They have to pay a higher minimum wage. Minimum wage in the state is only $10.80. But in St. Paul, Minneapolis, it goes up to $15.97. and the employer doesn't have a choice. They have
Okay.
to. That's what we're talking about, right?
Okay.
With your local laws,
Okay.
the local laws that give people more rights and protections.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Underpaying,
Okay.
like if my boss, or if my employer, if I work at Target, right,
Okay.
on University Avenue,
Yes.
and my boss only pays me 13.25 an hour,
Okay.
that is a kind of wage theft too. That's
Oh,
a minimum
they
wage.
reported
Yeah, you should
somebody. Yeah.
call my department.
Yeah.
Yep,
Okay.
come in,
Yeah.
or you can walk into City Hall. You can go online,
Okay.
stpunk.gov, and just do human rights or
Yeah.
wage theft,
Yeah.
whatever, to get us.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you can report online, and we have investigators who would investigate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What are the other companies
Um,
in the other level?
yeah. So a micro business
Okay.
is 5 or fewer
Okay.
employees,
Yeah.
right?
Below 5.
Yep,
Yeah.
5 and
Most
lower.
restaurant or something.
Well, it
Yeah.
depends, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe a restaurant is between 6 and 100 employees.
Oh.
That's probably more common,
Okay.
and that's $15 an hour right now.
Okay.
The other one, micro, is 13.25, and
Oh.
that's all on our website,
Okay.
so you can see those rates. And then when it goes up on July 1,
Yeah.
we'll also post the new rates.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in September, this is a little confusing. Wages increase July 1, and
Yeah.
then in September we tell you what the next one's going to be,
Oh.
which
Okay.
gives employers,
Okay.
right? It gives all the bosses time
Oh.
to prepare for it.
Okay.
Yeah, but then employees, they sometimes have to watch it, because sometimes we find where an employer doesn't catch that July 1 increase.
Okay.
And then the employee will let us know, and then we'll contact the employer, and then they'll get the difference back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Our guest is Betty. Now, you can ask a question if you have a question. Maybe from here, somebody say hello. Our number is 612-341-0980, and then you can call in if you have a question. All right, let's go. Let's make a little bit clear about ear need, sick, and the leave. Um, you say that if they work for 13 hours, then they have 1 hour, right?
They earn 1 hour of
Yeah,
paid sick leave, minimum.
that's minimum.
Yeah.
And so that means they have 1 hour maybe per week, mostly per week.
Yeah,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
more, a little
yeah,
more, right?
yeah.
Yeah, that they're
So
earning
they have at least 4 hours per
months.
month. Yeah,
You
minimum.
probably
Yeah,
get 5.
yeah,
You actually
yeah,
get 5 in that month,
yeah,
because 30 hours, right? You got 10 hours each
yeah.
week from the 40 if they're full time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if the employers do not give them the their need, uh, what do they do?
Yeah.
How they adjust?
Yeah.
Or maybe do they say that I have a right to this? Or
Yes.
maybe,
Yes.
okay,
Yeah. So the employer doesn't just pay it to you at the end of the month if
yeah,
you haven't used it.
okay,
But if you say, if you're my boss, you're
yeah,
my employer,
yeah.
and I say,
Actually, you are my boss.
yeah, well, no, you're
Yeah,
my boss. So I said, Mr. Taffa, I need to take my mom to the doctor. I actually do. I take my mom to the doctor on Tuesday morning.
okay,
And so if I were to say to you, I need to use, 3 hours of my earn sick and safe time,
yeah,
and you can tell me, employers can have a policy. You could say you have to call it in, or you have to email it, or you have to leave a voicemail. So the employer can say how I have to notify them, but they can't tell me if taking my mom to the doctor is a good enough reason. They can't. If I say I need to use my earn sick and safe time,
okay,
and I need to use 3 hours, then
okay,
they have to give me
yeah,
3 hours paid
okay,
of sick time on
okay,
my paycheck.
okay,
Yeah, it's really great. It actually costs employers more,
yes,
right?
yes,
If they don't give their employees sick
yeah,
time and they lose
yeah,
their employees,
yeah, yeah,
and then they have to do some marketing, and they have to hire and train and get somebody else on
yeah,
board.
yeah,
The whole reason behind it is
yeah,
it's better for the employer,
yeah,
it's better for the employee
okay,
if we can keep people in the jobs that they're currently doing and just give them access to sick time.
okay.
Yeah.
But some still say that you have to have a good reason to use it.
Yeah.
Is it really important to have a good reason to use it?
Yeah. Um, well, there are always some people who will try to cheat the system, right?
Oh,
There's
okay.
always going to be that one person who
Yeah.
just likes to sleep in and says, "Oh, I'm sick,"
Okay.
right? That
Okay.
I mean that like there could always be somebody who
Yeah.
wants to abuse the system, but
Yeah.
by and large, people use sick and safe time to care for themselves,
Yes.
to care for their family,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Whether they have kids or parents
Yeah.
or to go to doctor's appointments.
Yeah.
They don't get to say that's a good enough reason or not.
Yeah.
That's
But
against the law.
but my question is, it is ear need, and if it is ear need, for example, if you want to sleep, you can sleep. You got it already. You ear need it.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
but you have to let them know, and they
Yes.
can tell you
Yes.
how to let them know, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Um, so my daughter had long haul COVID,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
And so she actually did lose as
Okay.
a result of her health
Okay.
because when she would get just a simple cold,
Oh,
right,
yeah.
like a
Yeah.
week long cold, it would
Yeah.
last her like a month,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
And so that totally, she is sick
Okay.
and she could use her earn sick and safe time. I was suggesting maybe that
Yeah.
someone was just lazy and didn't want to get out of bed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
All right.
different. But no, an
Okay.
employer can't say that's a good enough reason or not.
Yeah.
If you ask for it,
Yes.
they have to let you. And
Yeah.
so if employers aren't, then you
Okay.
can call my office.
Okay.
You can go online.
Yeah.
You can walk into City Hall
Okay.
and you can talk to our investigator, and they try to understand what's going on in your workplace,
Mhm.
right? And they
Mhm.
would say to you, "How did you tell your employer? How did they
Mhm.
require you to notify them to
Mhm.
tell them?"
Mhm.
And then they would just ask some questions, and if they believed that there was enough there that we should open an investigation, they would do that, and that's a free service that we do.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So, can they call?
Yes,
Yeah. What
yes.
the?
You want the number?
Yeah.
We have the best number for somebody to call
Okay.
is 51
Okay. Uh,
266. You want me to? I'm going to hand it to you right here.
all right.
651 266 8966.
Okay. Okay. Egaa dhaggeeffattoota keenya kanaan bilbiltanii gaafachuu dandeessu. Our audience, you can call this number 651-266-8966. And if you have a problem, you can ask
Yeah,
Betty or somebody else.
yeah,
That will help you. It
yeah,
is for free,
yeah,
and it is your right. If you have problem with your employer, if you think that maybe you didn't use your early sick leave or
yeah,
PTO, or maybe if you have different issues concerning human rights, you
yeah,
can call.
yeah. Call
All right.
us. Yeah,
That,
yeah. Definitely call us. Let's talk about the human rights law, the
okay.
anti-discrimination law. I think
Yeah.
you
Yes.
wanted me to talk about first, and
Exactly.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, um, in St. Paul, in Minneapolis,
Yeah.
and in the state of Minnesota, it
Yeah.
is actually against the law to discriminate.
Okay.
I know that discrimination happens
Happen.
regularly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
happens regularly, but
Yeah.
it's actually against the law.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if somebody experiences discrimination or they believe they've experienced discrimination,
Yeah.
right, they
Okay.
would contact our office too.
Okay.
And we have a whole team of human rights investigators.
Okay.
And we do that work for free. You don't need a lawyer.
Okay.
We get a lot of employment cases. We get a lot of housing cases.
Okay.
We get a lot of cases around a disability,
Okay.
um, race and ethnicity,
Okay.
and then disability are like, and then housing, the workplace, school. If your
Okay.
child is being discriminated
Okay.
against in school,
Yeah.
if you've gone to Starbucks and
Mhm.
serving you because they've chosen something about you,
Yeah,
right?
you speak
Who you
this
are.
language,
Yeah.
or
Yep. Yeah.
you have hijab on you, and then
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I don't want to serve you. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly. You can
yeah,
call our office or again, call, walk in, or go online.
yeah.
And
Okay,
you can file a complaint, and then an investigator would reach out to you and ask you questions.
okay.
Just try to understand, you know, did you go to Starbucks and was somebody just rude,
Mhm,
or did they refuse to serve you
mhm,
because of your hijab? Right. I mean, what really was going on there? And
mhm.
then we can open an investigation and find out if discrimination happened.
Okay. Yeah, somebody last time somebody asked me, his employer kept his salary without his knowledge.
Mm,
They didn't tell him.
mm,
And finally, when he asked them, they say that we kept your salary because of this one. And, he's a bus driver. And he said that for
mm,
mileage and something like that. And he
mhm,
was just, he was upset and he
mhm,
was saying that they should have told him. And is it also a part of life? Did you
mm.
also investigate su- such issues?
Yeah. So in that case, an employer on so we refer to that area of work with wage theft or unsafe time and minimum wage as our labor standards work, right?
Okay.
And
Yeah.
in the labor standards world,
Yeah.
an employer has to tell you how much you're earning,
Okay.
okay?
Okay.
And they have to tell you like the rules around your job,
No.
right? Could would there be anything for us to investigate just his wages
Oh,
and they don't tell him?
okay.
Maybe we could look at that as that they didn't notify of his rate, his new
Okay.
rate,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
But if you're asking like around discrimination,
Mm-hmm.
right? Is it discriminatory for
Mm-hmm.
them to do that?
Mm-hmm.
It would depend.
Mm-hmm.
If he is a person of color,
Yeah. Okay.
right? And they cut only of the people of color, but they left all the other white people, their salary is the same, right?
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Or let's say he has children,
Okay.
familial status
Yeah. Yeah.
is a reason why they can't discriminate based on
Yeah.
familial
Yeah.
status. So if they were like, well, you have to, you're not doing as good of a job, you're distracted because of your family,
Mm-hmm.
so we're going to cut your wages to try to encourage you to work harder or something. We could investigate that. It would depend. That's why I said when the investigator would call and ask some questions,
Mm-hmm.
they would try to understand if the decisions were made because of your like your protected classes, because of who you are, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's your race, ethnicity, your age, disability, your family
Mm-hmm.
status, religion, because of things about who you
Mm-hmm.
are, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it would just depend.
Oh,
Yeah, but you should definitely call us.
okay.
If we can't serve somebody, we try to refer them to who can,
Oh,
right?
oh,
So if we felt like there was an issue that they should go to the State Department of Labor,
oh, okay.
right? If there was a contract issue,
Yeah.
then that's we would refer to the State Department of Labor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other one is last week
Mhm.
uh, I was teaching and it was issues of right. And
Mhm.
then I say, some student write this issue. And then I said, if you have this problem, look, I am also, started there. And at the same time, I told them I am a commissioner. And so you can also report and we can help you. And then one student asked me, okay, I am working somewhere. She said that it is a restaurant
Mhm.
and the employer pay her 14 and the employer also pay other $30 per hour. And so I say this is below minimum wage.
Mhm.
And then she said, what do I do?
Mhm.
And then I say, "Oh, you can report." And then she said, okay, there may be a consequence if
They
I,
might take it out on me.
yes,
They might
yes,
retaliate.
yeah,
Yeah.
retaliate.
Mhm.
Yeah, would you say something about that?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I would absolutely say I would tell it to you and everybody else that retaliation against the law.
Oh, okay,
Right?
okay,
So if her employer is a micro business in St. Paul and they're
okay.
paying her 13.25, they have 5 employees or less, and it is
Okay,
okay, right?
okay,
But say it is not, and they should be paying her $15 an hour,
okay.
right?
Yeah.
And then she reports and they fire her,
Okay,
right?
okay.
We would investigate the underwage, like underpayment,
Okay,
right?
okay.
The fact that they're not paying her the right minimum
Yeah.
wage. And then we would also investigate, did you fire this person because they filed a complaint? Because
Yeah.
that's protected. That's a protected activity.
Okay.
It's against the law
Oh, okay.
to fire somebody when they file a complaint.
Oh,
100%.
okay.
Yeah. And we see it.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
sometimes do see it. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Actually, many people are scared because you
Mhm.
know.
Yeah,
They think that if I report this, then they violate or
yeah,
maybe because sometimes even it has a question from the company.
yeah,
The company if the company mishandled
yeah,
and again if there is let's say many human rights abuse, then
yeah.
it may be tough.
Well, if they have many human rights abuses, we don't want to see small businesses close,
Yes.
but that's a choice,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
If they're doing
Yeah.
if they're
Yeah.
discriminating for
Yeah.
lots of reasons,
Yeah.
that's a choice.
Yeah.
So the thing about our labor standards work, wage theft, unsafe time, and minimum wage.
Okay.
When we investigate,
Yeah.
um, we don't tell them who filed the complaint.
Okay.
And what we would do is we would ask for records for every employee.
Okay.
So let's say that there are 25 employees at that restaurant.
Okay.
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 We would send them a notice of investigation
Okay.
and we would ask for records on every single employee. And
Oh,
that
okay.
protects the employee who made the complaint
Okay.
because then it's not like, this person
Okay.
filed, so they shouldn't be able to even try to take
Okay.
it out somebody.
Okay.
Retaliation, right? They should
Okay.
know.
Yeah.
And we don't tell they become a respondent. That's what
Yeah.
they become. We don't tell that employer
Okay.
who filed the complaint. That's private information
Oh,
while the case is
so you
open.
don't disclose.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't disclose that. We
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
tell them.
So the employer may not know who
Exactly.
reported it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of my questions.
Yeah, and we've had cases where we have 3 employees,
Okay.
and we've had cases where we have thousands of
Okay.
employees, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. There is no
No questions,
question.
huh?
Okay. You are doing good job. This program help our community to survive life and also know the responsibilities in the school or workplace or in other public service institution. Thank you for sharing doing this. Appreciate your for taking care of this. Okay. Aman Gary, yeah, yeah. Thank you, Aman. I know him. He's
Oh,
very
that's
good.
nice. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He also run the media. Yeah. All right. Let's go to the other. Um, Probably some. We are immigrant and as immigrant, we have different experience.
Yeah.
One of our actually heal actually is apartment or maybe rent.
Mhm.
Some people exercise, feel, they are unlawfully evicted from their apartment.
Yeah.
And okay, how do you help them? What is actually their right there?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, I'm not a lawyer.
yeah, I know.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah,
So I can't give legal advice,
yeah. Okay,
right?
yeah,
But the one thing I would say is if you're evicted, believe that it was unlawful, you
okay,
should find a lawyer,
okay,
right?
okay,
If you were evicted and you think because of any of your protected classes, right? Your
mhm,
family status,
mhm,
your race, your religion, your ethnicity, your age, then you can call us
mhm,
or report online and then
yeah,
we can investigate.
okay,
In Minneapolis, you would call what their main number is 311, right?
okay, okay,
And in St. Paul, you could start with my office. We could refer you to the Department of Safety and Inspections if we needed to.
okay.
So it can be kind of complicated, right?
Mhm,
Because you should have a lease, and if your landlord um, hasn't done their part of that lease,
mhm,
then a
mhm,
lawyer can help you if you have a right to sue them, right?
mhm,
Which is different than what we do.
mhm,
On the other side of it, if you were evicted because of who you are,
mhm.
right? Because they just don't like immigrants, or they
Okay.
don't like
Yeah.
women, right?
Oh,
Or
maybe
they
you
don't like
played in my
kids.
apartment.
Yeah,
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 yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Then we can investigate to see if you were evicted because of discrimination, right?
Okay. Okay.
If somebody has pests, like say that there are mice or cockroaches in the apartment,
Okay.
you would call our city, our Department of Safety and Inspections, and that number is 651 266
Mhm,
8989.
mhm.
and you would let them know, and then they would do an inspection to take a
Okay.
look at that. Like I just had a community member from St. Paul call my office the other day, and she had mold on
Mhm.
her walls, and
Mhm.
she had reported it to the landlord, and they didn't do anything about it,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So would that be discrimination?
Mhm.
I don't know,
Mhm.
right? Is it just a bad practice?
Okay.
Definitely, right? So we try to figure out, is it just a bad practice by a landlord,
Okay.
or is it just somebody taking advantage of somebody,
Okay.
or is it discrimination?
Okay.
Taking
Okay.
advantage of somebody isn't okay, but
Oh.
it may or may not be discrimination,
Oh,
right? It
okay.
depends.
Okay. Depends. Yeah. It depends.
Yeah.
Yes. Uh, Actually, somebody last time asked me. He's not from this.
Yeah.
He's from Africa.
Yeah.
Actually, he was looking for help. He told me that he was evicted,
Mm.
and the reason why he was evicted is he didn't pay in time,
Oh.
and so he had a problem, different problems actually, and even he was to the court, and the court also ordered him to pay the rent,
Yeah.
and then he asked the landlord to extend little time, to give him
Yeah.
little time,
Yeah.
just 1 week, so he could get the money from his friend and then
Yeah.
pay.
Yeah.
And then the landlord said, "We don't need your money.
Oh.
You don't need your money." Uh,
Oh.
yeah. So he said, "How can you help me?"
Yeah.
And I don't know how to help. Actually, I don't know how
How
to
would you
help.
help in that
Yeah,
situation? That's a
yeah,
tough
yeah.
situation because,
And
yeah,
but here, maybe for information,
yeah,
if you have information,
yeah,
or statistics, or maybe there are people actually I know who are homeless
mhm,
or who are going to be homeless,
mm,
and if you know, maybe
yeah,
if there is help.
yeah, yeah. Gosh, that's a big question. So
Yeah,
let's unpack
maybe.
it. Let's
Yeah.
Well, there are a couple things there. I heard you say your friend from Oregon, the man said that he had some health issues
Yes.
and he was having a hard time paying his rent.
Yes.
So I would always tell somebody to send that in writing, right?
Okay.
You might call
Okay.
and leave a message, but
Okay.
then you would also want to send it in writing and save a copy of it, right?
Okay.
Um, and if he was asking for an accommodation based on a disability,
Mhm.
that's different,
Mhm.
right? Because
Mhm.
disability is protected too. You can't
Mhm.
evict somebody because they're disabled,
Mhm.
right? But did he not um, do what's required in the lease? That's what a lawyer could help him figure out,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So definitely go to like a legal rights center, ask for some help. You
Mhm.
can call our office in
Mhm.
that case too.
Mhm.
And if we can't help, we would refer to one of the free legal clinics
Mhm.
in the city. In the city of St. Paul, we do a lot of work around unsheltered and unhoused community members. And we try to help people get back into housing if they've lost their housing.
Mhm.
If somebody is on the verge of losing housing, what I would say is just, in Minneapolis, call 311 and ask for some resources
Mhm.
where they can give somebody some recommendations for like a nonprofit to talk
Mhm.
to or some agency, one of the
Mhm.
city agencies. In St. Paul,
Mhm.
you could call 266-8989 and you could ask for the Office of Neighborhood Safety.
Mhm.
And then you could ask them for some community resources who
Mhm.
they're referring to. They really work with all the shelters in the area and they
Mhm.
keep pretty close watch on where there's availability and what organizations can help people.
Mhm.
And we have a homeless, it's called the Heart Team Homeless Action Response Team.
Okay.
And they work with encampments with people who are living in tents on our streets
Mhm.
just because it's not safe.
Okay.
And they try to
Okay.
get them into a safe place.
Okay.
And then once somebody can get to a shelter, then they can begin to get services around them in a different way,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Yeah, what I would say is this,
There are.
there are a whole bunch of places,
Okay.
and sometimes you don't know who to call, so you don't call them,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But just call.
Yeah. Right.
Call the city and
Okay.
ask for a resource. Call 311 in Minneapolis
Okay.
and just ask for a resource.
Okay.
And somebody will help you get to some resources.
Yeah.
That's a complicated situation.
Yeah.
Though.
Yeah. Actually, I know some of my students are actually into. They told me that they are going to let somebody help
Mm.
and rescue them. We are in in, in bad situation.
Yeah.
Uh, so I will refer them to
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
I will tell them to call me up for
Yeah.
something like that.
Depending on where they
Yeah.
live. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then we can try to find some community organizations that would support them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or if they don't have a place, we would help them get to a shelter and get to some resources. Yeah. And they do. When somebody goes to a place like a shelter, right?
Mhm.
Then they have services that they can wrap around somebody, right? They can ask about all these different areas in their life.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. What about last time we were on the commission meeting?
Yeah.
We have been discussing how far the landlord can go back and look at
Mm.
your credit. Would you
Yeah.
say?
I
Would you
don't
say?
know
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
actually. I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah. You say 3 years.
mm,
Yeah.
um there was just an ordinance that we passed in St. Paul that gave some renters some more rights. So
Okay.
people would want to check it out
Okay.
and see it put some limits on how big of like a security deposit they
Okay.
can ask for and things like that.
Okay.
Definitely.
Yeah. If they want more information on that, they can call you actually.
They call
Your
me.
office. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anytime. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Now let's go to the police.
Okay.
Yeah. So there are some people who actually complain that that they have difficulty with the police.
Yeah.
Yeah. So some complain that the police punish me because of speeding,
Mhm.
because of parking, because
Yep.
of different things, and they say that it's not fair or it's not how I was treated was not
Mm.
really fair.
Yeah.
What would you say on that?
Yeah. Well, there are a lot of things to say.
Yeah.
I in a previous life,
Yeah.
before I met my husband and fell in love and had kids,
Yes.
I had some speeding tickets,
Okay.
and I didn't think it was fair,
Oh,
but I
okay.
did deserve the speeding
Okay.
tickets because I was speeding,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
But if somebody is treated poorly in that interaction, right,
Okay. Okay.
they can file a complaint with the city,
Yeah.
with our department.
Yeah.
The civilian review of police misconduct. It's actually PCR. I can show it to you. Police Civilian Internal Review
Okay.
Commission.
Yeah.
They can, with my
That.
department, you can just call my office and
Yeah.
you can file a complaint. You can say that you can file a complaint that you were not treated correctly
Mhm.
or kindly or appropriately by a police officer.
Mhm.
And the chief of police in St. Paul wants community members to report that if they have a complaint, that you should be able to file your complaint.
Yeah.
You can file that with my office.
Okay.
The police do investigate. They investigate in St. Paul,
Yeah.
but not in Minneapolis. They have police investigators and human rights. They're civil rights investigators.
Mhm.
They have two different teams over there. Just
Mhm.
the police department in the internal affairs investigates in St. Paul,
Mhm.
but then a citizen review board, like the board that you sit on,
Yeah. Yeah.
they listen to all the body worn camera footage. They watch it
Mhm.
and they read all the investigation, and then they make a recommendation to the chief.
Mhm.
This happened or this didn't happen,
Mhm.
and here is what we would recommend. There's discipline that should be assigned to an
Mhm.
officer.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean the chief takes it in St. Paul. He just takes it real seriously that our officers. He has high expectations of our officers in St. Paul,
Mhm.
and that's great, right?
Yeah.
We turn to police when we're in trouble, when we
Mhm.
need something,
Yeah.
typically. But if somebody has an interaction that doesn't go the way that they expected, or they feel that they're being treated differently
Yeah.
because of their race or their ethnicity or whatever,
Yeah.
they can file a complaint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, for me, I lived in Minnesota for the last 5 years,
Yeah.
and I haven't got any ticket.
That's lucky.
Yeah, lucky.
Maybe
Actually,
you're not speeding.
once I got a ticket, it's not for speeding. I think it was in 2022, because I parked it just in front of the door. I
Mhm.
forget it. I
Mhm.
parked the car there and
Yep.
forget it, and then my car was there for 4 hours. And the ticket.
Mhm.
I deserve.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
got a parking
yeah.
ticket. You earned it.
Otherwise, I find the police very cooperative,
Yeah, that's
very
nice.
good, and they have good communication,
Yeah.
and really, I love them. I love our police.
Yeah.
Yeah, uh, but now some people say that they don't even report what to them because of their immigration status,
Mhm.
whether they are
Yep.
working,
Yep.
or
Yep.
maybe with theft, or maybe discrimination in
Yep.
housing or
Yep.
foreign. What would you say?
I would tell somebody that we never ask immigration status in the city of St. Paul. It
Okay,
doesn't matter
okay,
for us.
okay,
If you are being treated poorly by your landlord,
okay,
that's what matters.
okay,
We would never write immigration status down. We
okay,
would never report anybody's immigration status to anybody else.
okay, okay.
We don't even, it doesn't matter, right? If you're an employee and you're also an immigrant and you're being underpaid, it
Yeah,
doesn't matter that you're an immigrant. It just matters that you're being
you are
underpaid.
human. Yeah,
Yes.
yes,
So
yeah,
in St. Paul, we don't ask that question. We
yeah,
don't need to know that question.
yeah.
Immigration status is not a protected class,
No,
but race and ethnicity are, right?
oh, okay.
So that's what we would talk about. You, as an individual,
Yeah,
and here are the reasons why. The St. Paul police don't work with ICE. They're not doing that work with ICE. I should say they're not doing immigration roundups. That's
yeah.
not their job.
Okay,
They're keeping the peace in responding to emergencies and things.
okay,
Yeah, but I can
okay.
understand that would be. I can understand. I don't have that same fear, but I can imagine that would be terrifying.
Mhm.
Um, and we won't ask you that question because it
Mhm.
doesn't matter to us. If you're
Okay.
treated poorly, you're treated
Yeah.
poorly, just like you said, as a human.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. The other question is concerning language,
Mhm.
because most of the
Yeah.
they
They speak
are,
many
yeah,
languages.
many languages.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
talented and
yeah.
gifted.
So
Yeah.
yeah, how do they report, or do you help
Mhm.
them when they report, for example, like
Mhm.
English?
Yeah.
Well, how do you?
Yeah. Yes, we do help them, and we would get an interpreter in to help us.
Okay.
And so we would, if we don't speak the language,
Okay.
we have many different languages spoken on our team. But if
Yeah.
we don't have anybody who speaks Urdu, right?
Oh, okay.
So then we would get an interpreter and somebody who's paid to do that work, so we know it's accurate, right?
Okay.
Um, and we would ask that person to help us translate. We do have in St. Paul, um, everybody has the right
Mm,
to ask for, mm, they're considered primary documents or primary information, main information to be
mhm,
given to you
mhm,
in what we call our primary languages. So when
mhm,
we have a certain percentage of our population,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
So English is one of them. We have a
mhm,
certain number, a certain more than 5% of our population speaks English,
mhm,
Spanish,
mhm,
Somali,
mhm,
Karen, and Hmong. Those are
mhm,
the languages that we are required
mhm,
to give everything. And if we give it in English, we have to give it in Somali or
mhm,
Karen, right? Now, Romo, we would just ask for an interpreter, or if there was something that someone needed to send something in writing,
mhm,
we would just have that translated
mhm.
so our investigator could understand. So, yeah, but you have a right to ask for
Oh,
that.
okay,
Language interpretation and translation, that's a free service that the
okay,
city will do for
okay,
you using city services.
okay,
They're not going to come with you to the mall and be
okay.
an interpreter or translator at the mall,
So
right?
yeah,
but they're going to do
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
you get city
Okay.
services. Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you just have to ask.
Yeah.
And if somebody is asking
Yeah.
and they're not getting help,
Yeah.
they can call my department
Okay.
because the person who does that work, the accessibility coordinator,
Yeah. Okay.
he would take a complaint and then he would work with the department to make it happen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That means it is not only when they are reporting
Mhm.
about human rights
Yeah.
abuse, but even to get a service
Yeah.
from the city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They want to
So,
use a library,
oh, okay.
and somebody needs materials, probably not a book, right?
Okay.
But if they want to, mm, what would you say? Let's say that somebody wants to reserve a room in a library for a community event,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And that room reservation is only in English,
Mhm.
right? They could ask the library to get it either translated into Oromo,
Mhm.
or they could ask for an Oromo interpreter to help them
Mhm. Okay.
to reserve.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
Or if in the parks, or if somebody's in an emergency situation, obviously the police or fire or paramedic
yeah.
are going to address the emergency first,
Okay.
right? Like if you're bleeding, they're going to stop the bleeding,
Yeah.
and then they're going to get you somewhere where you could use a interpreter,
Oh,
right?
okay.
But yeah, you have the right to ask.
Oh,
Absolutely. And they need to meet your needs in the language that you receive information.
oh,
You aren't just expected to speak English and understand it.
okay.
The website, if you can't read something on the website, we can get it translated for people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. We are about to complete.
Oh,
And
wow, we're almost
yeah,
done.
yeah,
That was
well
fast.
done, yeah. All right. Maybe the last something you want to say. Or,
Something I want to say. Well, I want to thank you for the time,
yeah,
for bringing me here, and
yeah,
for talking and for asking questions.
yeah,
But I want to tell the audience,
yeah.
if something doesn't feel right, just
Yeah.
call us,
Okay.
and we'll help you try to figure it out.
Okay.
It could be that we're not the right department to help you,
Okay.
and then we'll get you to where you need to go.
Oh.
But discrimination is illegal
Mhm.
in the city of St. Paul.
Mhm.
You are entitled to earn sick and safe time,
Mhm.
right? You do have to be paid the wages that they tell you that you need that you're going to be paid, and it has to be a minimum wage. Yet you have to be paid all the wages you earn, right?
Mhm.
And yeah, if you need something, you have the right to ask for it. So
Okay.
give us a call at the same number that I gave you before. Remember?
Yeah.
Yep, right there.
Yeah. Here is the number 651-266-8966. So you can call this number and you can ask a question, or if you have any problem,
Go to
human rights. Yeah.
cpaul.gov.
Yeah. Yeah. You can contact
Yeah.
somebody from that office. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Dhaggeeffattoota keenya egaa qophii keenya kanumaan xumurraa. We are about to complete in our program. I think there is no question yet. Yeah.
We've answered everything.
Yeah, we have answered everything. Yeah,
So
yeah.
similar
Uh,
laws in Minneapolis,
yeah.
remember? They can
Yes.
get help in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
state also has a anti-discrimination too. So you can go to the state Department of Human Rights
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. From where they should begin actually. For example, if they live
Yeah.
in Minneapolis, or some
hmm
live in Brooklyn Park,
hmm
then should they report to Minneapolis, or
hmm
report or
Yeah.
state?
Well, if you live in Minneapolis, report to Minneapolis.
Okay.
Go to Minneapolis, go to the website, right? Minneapolis, and then do civil rights.
Okay.
If you live in St. Paul, come into my office, or
Okay.
call us, email us, or go online. You can just do stpaul.gov,
Okay.
right? And then
Okay.
just put human rights in there, and you'll get all your information.
Okay.
But if you live anywhere outside of St. Paul, Minneapolis, then you should go to the state.
Oh,
The State
okay.
Department of Human Rights.
Yeah.
It's a cabinet level agency, so they can enforce anti-discrimination law like we can in St. Paul.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Thank you
Okay,
so
thank
much,
you.
Betty. Thank
Thank you.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's been
I
great
really
to be here.
appreciate. Yeah, yeah.
Abaixo mais para baixo sarà. Vigilanța tăiată fără de informații, orice și nu să tăia de examen, and